Hello everyone, Phoenix61 here with your fresh dose of Legend shenanigans. Today we are in the Tirpitz, and I also have a Brandenburg game. These are two kind of similar brawly type ships that I had just happened to play same day. I was grinding some silver, so I was playing a lot of tier 7 premiums. First thing I did though, before just sailing around this corner, right, I actually took a look at the board to see what kind of ships we were up against, to see if there were a lot of torpedo destroyers or cruisers. And there aren't. There's one destroyer, and as you can see, he's already gotten spotted in the Charlie Cap right over on C. So I knew I would be safe coming around this corner, at least temporarily. And then as we do get around the corner, right, my teammates are starting to spot ships and stuff like that. We are able to get decent shot on this Gascon. And then we'll actually push up into the zone to make sure we get this zone cap, right? So a little bit of, just kind of nice not having a lot of destroyers in this game. Especially as playing as a battleship, right? It's kind of that rock, paper, scissors mentality, right? Of, destroyers are best at going after battleships, battleships are best at going after cruisers, cruisers are best at going after destroyers, right? In general, right? There's a lot of mix and match and exceptions out there, right? But anyway, we'll take advantage of the fact that no one seems to care about us right now, and so we'll do double duty and shoot our guns and cap this zone. And then as this Gascon starts to get kind of out of our main battery range, right, this is, a lot of these German ships, like people, we've built this one out in particular for Brawling, right? It's a full-on secondary build, which, of course, I will go through at the end of the game, too, so if you're interested in how, what modules I picked and how I've set up the commander and all that other stuff, stay tuned, or, just go skip to the end, right? But anyway, so we get the zone cap, so we're going to push around the outside and see what's going on with this. I think it was a North Carolina, right? So we've got a battleship around the corner here. We can get engaged with him in some close combat. And if you notice, I am, you can see on the minimap where the carrier was last spotted, but then he's also got planes like way over here, right? To me, in my mind, if I was playing that carrier, it would make sense for me to stick somewhat close to the larger group on my team, right? So I would have suspected he would stay over at the Charlie Cap, but sure enough, he has sent his carrier all the way over to this side and gets himself spotted here, so we'll take full advantage of that, right? So we'll take our main battery shots at him. We get a great double citadel there to, get him most of the way down. And then, of course, with German dispersion fashion there, the salvo from the other set of guns didn't do as good. So now here I'm trying to balance not going too broadside to the North Carolina, also watching these torpedo bombers, and also trying to get guns on the carrier as well, right? So we'll start turning in towards these torpedoes. We're going to take one. That's totally fine. They're not too bad. And then that's going to point our guns towards the North Carolina, so I figured, all right, we might as well use them on him. So we'll take a shot, try and get him through the guts there, through the bow, through the cheek, whatever you want to call it, right? And we do get a citadel hit there. And then the secondaries are actually shooting both the carrier. We're close enough to the carrier and the North Carolina, so kind of figured since we've got the guns over here, the carrier is kind of low on health, we'll just keep firing the main battery at the North Carolina. And then I'm going to try and turn away from him as he's trying to line up a shot on us. Don't get quite as much damage as I would have liked, but we do get the kill on the carrier. And then simultaneously the secondaries finish off the North Carolina for the double strike. And then, of course, 2 close quarters medals right off the bat here, right? So now we notice we've kind of cleaned up on this flank and strong, weak side for my team is over at the Charlie Cap, obviously, right? So they're strong over there, and we cleaned up over here. So we've got quite a bit of sailing simulator to do here at the moment. So we're going to actually fast forward here. Easy torpedo dodge there. But yeah, we're just going to try and get ourselves, basically pointing myself directly towards the battle, right? Where I think these enemy ships are going to end up by the time we get, over there, right? So they were kind of hanging out at Charlie Cap, not moving forward too quickly, right? So I figured I'd split the difference and just kind of point my nose towards the middle of them all, right? And head towards the C Cap. So that is what we do. But yeah, between that, just taking that side, right? We got the zone cap, we got 2 kills, and we're up to 100,000 damage already as it is. Of course, these ships are going to be whittled down a little bit, at least most of them are, right? Gascon's super low on health here. And we try to get some hits on him, but we get a bunch of bounces because he's angled, right? Darn those ships and angling appropriately, right? I was like certain we would have have been able to cheese that kill by now, and we kept just do either my aim is bad, we're getting bounces, bad luck, right? All of those things combined. But yeah, we'll keep pushing up. Bismarck here, right? I'm trying to get myself, like, I've got tons and tons of health left for this late stage of the game, so I'm trying to put myself out there to take some of the enemy fire away from my allies at this point. I've got a wicked health pool right now, and then plus we've got the nice German battleship armor scheme. And so we're pushing ourselves up into secondary range, so those are finally starting to do some work here as well. And then, using the overhead camera, try and get the guns all on the left side of the ship, right, port side. Can we finally finish off Gascon? He must have used a heal again or something, because he's got quite a bit of health left now. He was quite a bit lower than that. Harlem's backing up, so we're not quite going to be able to get that hit there. Gascon ran aground, so this should make for some easy shots, right? But let's see how it does. One over pen, one pen, and a bounce. Okay. Okay. We'll take what we can get. We'll take what we can get. Secondary has managed to finish him off. We're going to, of course, get bombed and airstrikes from these Dutch cruisers. I think both of these guys are the Dutch cruisers here. What I do like about the BA variant of the Tirpitz is the longer range torpedoes. Yeah, there's 2 Harlems here. You get 9-kilometer range torpedoes versus the like regular Tirpitz, they're 6 kilometers. There's some balancing in there too. Like I think the main guns are maybe not as good on the BA Tirpitz, right? There's some balance in there. It's not all good, but I prefer this, right? Because you're kind of using this as a brawling ship anyway. I like the longer range torpedoes. So, but we'll pick up the Harlem around the corner as we come here. So we've got guns ready for him on that side, and then we'll send the torpedoes from the port side towards him as well. And then, of course, yes, here comes more airstrikes. That's fine, we'll just keep pressing. I've just been trying to save the damage con for when we've got at least a double fire, so there it is, so we'll trip it. We don't have to worry about torpedoes, just air bombers from these guys, right? So we'll just keep pushing. So here I am trying to get the Kraken, right? We're at 3 kills. So I'm already moving away from this Harlem that's in the Charlie cap here. So, kind of anticipating I should be able to finish him off. And he'll still be, he's going to be within secondary battery range for a while here. But one thing that I didn't pay attention to was points. So we're up to 900 already. And then with getting this kill on this Harlem, that's going to give us a bump in points as well. And then it's going to be a timing thing if I can actually kill the other one or not, right? So there goes that Harlem. This one is low on health. Hindsight's 2020. I should have just taken this shot, but what I ended up doing was, I saw the actually I take this shot here, right? And then we don't finish him off because he's angling appropriately, right? And then I saw the our carrier was headed towards him, right? And so I was like, all right, like, if the carrier might not be able to finish him off, it is what was that? I think it's a British carrier, right? So they've got the sort of carpet bomb, like the smaller damage doing, but easier to hit, like, carpet bomb, fighter, dive bombers, right? So I took a peek there. It's the implacable, right? So I'm like, all right, let's wait for that to hit first, and then I'll fire my guns. But then we hit points, and so I missed out, right? So I should have just fired. I should have just fired the second they were loaded to see what we would get, but missed out on the Kraken there. But we'll take a look at the leaderboard here. 3000 XP puts us at the top. BH it's probably one of my favorite sort of brawler ships, right? 600, almost 700,000 in silver there. That's kind of what I was going for, right? Just kind of trying to earn some silver. I've got tier 8 tech tree ships I want to buy, right? And so, all right, so game number 2, we are in Brandenburg, and yes, I am turning broadside to these 3 battleships, so absolutely someone's going to get a good chunky hit on me. But I did not want to just YOLO push into the middle of the map in open waters with 3 battleships, a destroyer, and a cruiser, also at mid-spawn on the enemy team, right? So I took my chances with, and decided to turn away and just suffer the consequences of it so that I could get out of, not put myself in too aggressive of a situation too early in the game, right? So we'll take the shot at the Tashkent. We are in the cruiser's smoke screen. Our ally cruiser here dropped smoke and then left it. I don't know why you would leave it, but anyway, he left the smoke. But you notice we are still spotted, right? So there's that smoke firing penalty, which I was checking there, which is 12 kilometers. right? So we kind of can tell that we're still too close to, one of these destroyers, 2 destroyers as Moss out here. Figured I would shoot him if he didn't die from our destroyer, but he died, which was great. And then, yeah, so since we're firing our guns, we can tell that we're still within 12 kilometers of this other destroyer that's over here, right? So he's trying to be stubborn and maintain control of the B cap here. We'll just line up these torpedoes to make sure they don't hit us, and then we can kind of start making some movements here instead of just being a sitting duck. The Heinrich is going to give us a decent angle here. We'll try and see what we can get out of him. And then, yep, we did go undetected there just because we haven't fired our guns for a little bit here. So we'll take that shot, right? He's right at 12 kilometers. I'm sure it's probably still the destroyer that's picking us up as we fire guns. But we get a decent chunk out of him, even though only 2 penetrations. We'll take that. And I'm trying to back up, like, right, my secondary battery range on the Brandenburg, I think, is the best. It's at least the best I have, I think, right, for range. It's 11.9 the way I have it built, so I was trying really hard to get that Heinrich right within my range so I could start using, so that the secondaries would start going, right? Because that's pretty much all we've built into for these builds, right, for this Tirpitz and this Brandenburg. So there they go, he's close enough. The Atlantico is also close enough. And then wherever that destroyer is, and potentially that other cruiser that's out here too, could also be close enough, right? We've got a decent chunk of health left, right? So I'm trying to just get my ship angled so that we aren't taking, we're not broadside to any of these battleships, right? We're angled appropriately to these battleships, and then also being able to get secondaries firing at as many people as possible, right? So starboard and port side secondaries are going to town. We even got a perfect 10 over here. That's within range. And then, yep, there's the other cruiser. So we are firing on all cylinders here. And it's just always fun to watch. That's why I like playing these ships sometimes. More torpedoes, right? We are near the cruiser, which could potentially have sonar going for us, right? Which could give us a little bit early warning for torpedoes. And then perfect 10 looks like he's going to come around this corner here. So we'll be patient and hold on to the main guns for him. Every once in a while I do things correctly and wait and time things out, right? And it works out for us. So we'll take that shot at him. He does, of course, drop his smoke. We do get 2 penetrations and one of them being a citadel, so a decent chunk of damage. BA Tirpitz, right? That's the other ship we just played. So we kind of know what's going on with him. Similar build, probably. So we know he's got the longer range torpedoes, so we'll do some maneuvering, turn away. We sent our torpedoes. We'll keep, he's not shooting us with main guns, right? So we'll angle so that we can make sure we can get all 4 of our turrets at him, and then of course let the secondaries go to town on him as well. Looks like we might get a torpedo hit, which would be great as well. Triggered a flood, perfect. Looks like he might actually be flooding then. He may have put a fire or something out earlier. And then, of course, he gets finished off by our Nagato. So we can start turning in and being a little bit more aggressive over on this side now. We're kind of, that midway, I don't know, like one third of the way through the game here. We've got the zones advantage, right? We've got some points advantage. It's a cruiser here. We know we're going to do better against cruisers. So we'll start turning back to see and put ourselves into the action, see what we can do. Just keeping an eye, I was like, all right, I'm going to check what battleship that is, right? If it was that Colorado, I'd be a little nervous about turning broadside to him, but it's the German battleship, right? So it's a German battlecruiser, so we'll turn into him. Yeah, and then that Colorado's probably out of range of us, right? It looks like he's shooting somebody else. So we'll head back towards B and kind of, again, split the difference, see as you get as many ships that we can pick on all at once here again. And then I did select the secondaries to prioritize the destroyer, right? Want to try and get him off the board whenever possible. We will absolutely even use the main guns here if he's still alive. Don't want him to disappear in smoke and then get away. Couple of overpens on him, but that is totally fine. We will take it. I'm happy with that. And then it looked like you can see his torpedoes out there, so I shouldn't have to worry about his torpedoes. He sent them the other direction at somebody else. And we'll keep pushing up towards B, right? So we go undetected here. So nothing, yeah, since we stopped firing our main guns. So I'm going to try and just get a little bit closer before we get ourselves spotted again here, right? Of course, we are going to get spotted at our 13.2 or whatever, like our normal detection range, right? So we'll open up the guns on him, right? But I want to get as close as possible before starting to draw attention to ourselves again. We can potentially close the gap and get the secondaries going on this Heinrich. Open up a little bit of sidewall here to get those rear turrets off, and then we'll of course turn back in to continue to close that gap. And then we don't want to give him a full broadside angle either. And then there go the secondaries. And yeah, with this build, right, I'm pretty much using those secondary battery boosters whenever they become available and we're within range, right? We get so many of those. Let those go to town. We will fire main guns. We do have to worry about that cruiser that's off to our starboard side, right? He's got the deep water torpedoes, which are typically hard to spot, and we don't get sonar with either of these ships, right? So we have to be a little bit careful. We could probably take one or two, and speak of the devil, there's two of them fired out in front of us. Right, we had made that, I didn't plan that, but we had made that turn to get those rear turrets off on that Heinrich earlier, and that's probably what did. That's probably what gave us the perfect amount of space to avoid those. But I'm confident we would have probably still had a good game if we would have gotten taken out by those, right? But they might not have killed us, but we wouldn't have had a lot of health left, right? So we'll try and finish off this Heinrich, and then we'll divert our attention towards either hunting down that cruiser or I think the other battleship was the Colorado. Just doing little trinkets of damage there. Looks like Colorado is within range of secondary batteries as well, so starboard side starting to fire at him. There goes Heinrich. Colorado doesn't have too much health left either. Just checking and taking a peek at torpedoes, see how close he's coming. He is moving this way, but we don't have as good of range with the torpedoes on the Brandenburg. There's some more deep water torpedoes for us. Yeah, actually 2 of those would have taken us out because that one almost ended us there too. So obviously damage con the Flood. Colorado's just starting to get within torpedo range, but of course he's going to go down. So now it's a matter of hunting down this Chumpun. But then he's backing up here, right? Look at the mini-map. He's backing up to try and avoid some detection from us, I think. And so we'll send this torpedo rack, but since that's him going backwards, I'm going to guess that he would push, he would go push it, go forward at some point here, right? So I'm going to send the torpedoes one way and then go around the other way, right? Really doesn't matter here. We've got this game won, but we'll see if we can nab a 4th kill here. He was getting pretty low on health there, so this will be a little bit of overkill if he pops around the corner and we've got main guns, torpedoes, and, secondaries ready for him, so this will be over quite quickly. And then, yes, I'll go through the commander build and set up for at least I'll go through how I have the turpets set up, right? Because I think I have the exact same modules picked for both of these, right? So almost exactly the same builds for these, right? But Chumpun goes down, another 4-kill game there. Couldn't quite get a cracking on that one either. We'll take a peek at the leaderboard. 2400 XP that time puts us at the top again, and then almost 500 in silver, right? So I was playing a lot of 7 premiums just to earn some credits. But back on the BA Turpits, right? The Brandenburg set up the same way, but yeah, secondary battery mod, propulsion mod, concealment in slot 3, and then secondary battery mod 3 in the last slot for the better reload. I do play this ship quite a bit, and I was like, why don't I have, an epic mod on here? So if you didn't know, right, you can tap X on these ones and upgrade whichever your 4th slot for, I think, tier 7 and above ships, right? You can upgrade those. And then I am using, it cost, steel, right? I can't, right, I'm using this BA archive, blue archive commander, right? Franz von Hipper's your must for inspirations for secondary builds, and then of course Haruna I've got on here as well. If you don't have Haruna, right, she's not free to play, so there's some other choices out there, right? You could just pick like main battery or whatever you do, right? But and then yes, Porcupine here for row 2 is giving us the secondary range, punishment time, boosts the secondary charges, right, and boost the cooldown for him as well. Properly meticulous, I'm all about that for all the extra perks that you get on the secondaries there. And then she has this perk that's a little more rare called secondary interest. She's not the only one with this perk, right, but basically buffs everything while you're, basically buffs a bunch of stuff while your secondary battery booster is going, right? So that's a fun one to have, right? So I avoided having Will to rebuild on this one, right? So usually I figured I'd upgrade her since I play that ship so much. So we'll spend the cash there. If you don't have her, right, you can use, I think this is auto, right? So I'll check on here. Let's go into the Geist. And if you go all the way to the top, if you get a Geist, you can, it's auto select, see who it originally is, right? That's the actual free commander. So he's a good choice too. I've got, so over on the left, you can see inspirations are almost exactly the same, right? The reason I don't use Franz von Hipper as the commander for your secondary builds is because then if you use him as the commander, then you can't use him as an inspiration, and so that's why I lean in this direction, right? So if you're building out your German battleships, right, that's kind of how I look at it. But yeah, so that's kind of why I went with him for this build. I actually have this commander on my battle cruiser line, right? So the other line that's got Zeitin in it and stuff, because this one has some of these perks. I think one of this university hat one, right, has a gives you more of your, so you could use Porcupine, right, if you were building out for Tirpitz, but I've got this highly educated crew, right, because I have this commander on my battle cruisers right now, so this gives you more damage control charges, right? So those battle cruisers have a limited number of damage control parties, and so that's why I'm using him there. But yeah, he's got other secondary perks, right? So it's kind of a similar thing, just different buff, fire chance or whatever, right? And then you'd use Porcupine, and then you would pick your legendary perk, right? Fight fire with fire, running with scissors, or will to rebuild. I think all of those are decent choices for brawler builds, right? So, but yeah. And then Tirpitz is, I think typically it's in the store for global XP. So we'll go to Germany, right? So you could buy the regular variant of Tirpitz if you were interested in it for global. Yeah, here it is, global XP, right? So you need to save up 750,000 of them. Like I said, it's a little bit different. I think the secondary range might not be as good on it. I'm not sure. I definitely know that the BA Tirpitz has the longer range torpedoes. So that's one thing there. This one only has the 6-kilometer range torpedoes, right? So, but there's definitely the BA Tirpitz has some sort of, I think main guns are nerfed or something, there's something different. There's some sort of balancing in there, right? But yeah, you get ironclad and tough, right? So, it's definitely a tanky ship. And then BA Tirpitz. Just taking a look at, we've got secondaries up to 11 kilometers, and then, the torpedo range on this is 9 kilometers. So I like that better, right? So, And then, you do get the secondary reach. So secondaries might be a little bit better on the BA Tirpitz. I don't remember all the differences, but your thing is there's always some sort of balance versus, one variant to the next, right? There's something better about one, but worse about it, right? So, but anyway, thanks for watching my video all the way through, guys. I really do appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. I try to put out a Legends video every day if I can. So yeah, if you guys are following the channel, we will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks again.